Hello bakers, work in the red light district is banging, but we have a more important task today, and this is to recreate one legendary scene from Diablo 2. This is the shot that we are going to create using World Creator 2, and this time we are also going to cover a little bit from the texturing. This video is being sponsored by World Creator, which are giving us 3 licenses. Everything that you need to do is go and check the video, which is in the description below, and leave a comment there so that you can join in the giveaway. Now, let's roll the intro. Same way as last time, we are going to start with just the default scene, and the first thing that I'm gonna do is, because we have a pretty huge terrain and we don't really need this huge terrain, because I'm going to recreate just this one shot, which we have these mountains in the background and also a little bit of cliffs on the front. So 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers, it's a pretty huge terrain. This is why I'm going to make it 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. And as well, this way I'll also increase the resolution so that we have more details. Similar to last time, I'm going to lower the step 1 and step 2 levels. Then we are going to click custom base shape and edit shape. We are going to flatten the terrain because we want to build our own. And now, taking into account the reference that I have, I'm going to start first building the cliffs on the backside and then slowly building as well the ones on the front. Now that we have a pretty solid foundation, I'm going to start playing a little bit with the different types of effects and filters that we have in World Creator. You saw that I added the layer of rocks and after that one layer of dunes, and now it's time to blend them. I want these dunes just to be on some places, but not to cover absolutely everything as they do now. So the way that I'm going to do it is by using the slope. I'm going to click on the checker mark for slope, and after that here we have a slope range. So we want everything which is kind of flat, which is going to be 0, to be affected, but everything which is more of an angle to already not be affected. At this point, I think that I'm pretty happy with the result so far, so I'm going to start adding some textures. We're going to textures, and then the first layer that I'm going to create is going to be for our rocks. I already imported few textures that I'm going to be using for this project. So you can see that here I have a texture for our rocks. I imported the diffuse, and also as well I have a normal map, and as well I'm going to add a displacement. So first layer is going to be our rocks. I'm just going to add it, and now I'm going back to play a little bit with the tiling because I think that it's way too small. So I'm going to do it something like 20, yeah, 20, I think it's going to be okay. And as well, let me just open my reference one more time. You can see that these rocks are a lot more brown than those. So what I'm going to do is here in the shade, we actually can put a tint color on top. So I'm going to go and select something a little bit more brownish. So let's say something like this. Yeah, I think something like this matches very well what we want to achieve. And now I'm going to add a new layer and name this one sand, add, and then I'm going to select my sand texture, click add, go back. And what we want to do for the sand texture is pretty much the same. We are going to use the slope, and we are going to copy the same configuration as the one that we have for our slopes. So I'm just going to scroll down, and we have slope select. And then this one was 36.7 as I remember, 36.7. And you can see that it automatically blended nicely. We have some small details here and there. As well, we have a little bit of sand on some of the rocks on top. And I think that I'm going to increase a little bit maybe the smoothness. So just so that we have a little bit more sand on some places and like everything is a little bit smoother. Also, on top of the sand, I wanted to add one more extra layer with just a little bit of some small pebbles and gravel. So I'm going again into textures, I'm going to scroll up, add a new layer, and this one I'm going to call gravel, add. I'm going to create a new asset, and here I'm going to again import my diffuse, normal, and displacement. Now I'm going to click add and go back. And this time, instead of using slope, I'm going to use actually to just put it in everywhere where there is like these cavities. So it's going to go around all the places where we have like some cracks and some stuff like that to just blend it over there. So if I scroll down, and here you can see that we have this menu which is called cavities, and the moment it's on none. So here we can choose either convex or concave. So in our case, we want to have a concave because we want to put everything where there are some small cracks. And you can see that here on some of the places, I will just go up and turn it off and on. You can see how it distributed a little bit of this texture. So I'm going to adjust it just a little bit because I don't want to have as much as there is now. And the way to do it, I'm going to lower the strength, and as well I'm going to lower the steps. What lowering the steps does, you can imagine that the steps are like different levels of detail. So if we want to have just on the very bottom, like on the very minimal details, these elements, this means that we need to go on the very low settings of steps. And if we want to have it like on all of the levels of detail, then we of course are going to go all the way up. So I'm going to go just on 2 because I really want it to be like kind of subtle effect and just here and there as some extra detail. And as well, I'm going to play a little bit with the color because at the moment it's matching too well with our sand. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to, again from shade, pick something which is gonna be a little bit more dark and brownish. Now that we are happy with our setup and everything how it looks, it's time for us to go and export everything so that we can use it either for Unreal or some other place where we want to render the whole scene. The way to export a mask that we can after that use to have exactly the same distribution for our layers is to go to texture, and after that here you can see that we already have our 3 layers. We are going to export a splat map, and after that I'm going to click export. After being exported, I opened it inside Photoshop, and this is what we are going to get. So you can see that I have all my green area, which is going to be our sand. Then we have the red areas, which are our rocks, and as well the blue areas, which are our extra details with gravel. I'm as well going to export everything for Unreal. So in Surface, we are selecting Game Engine Unreal. As well, we are flipping Y, just this is a specific thing that we need to do for Unreal. And after that, I'm exporting everything as one piece. I'm not going to split it this time, and I'm going to do a very quick setup just to show you how good our terrain actually is going to look at the very end.
We traveled east, over the mountains and into the vast deserts of broken lands. As the days passed, my companion told me of himself, that he had once been a great warrior, and that a dark and secret burden now weighed heavily upon him. We traveled for an eternity across that arid wasteland. How long? I couldn't say. And always, a dark cloud seemed to follow us